Steph Red is a connoisseur coach with a passion to help people live optimally by discovering their genius, turning it into a skill, and then engaging it with precision to achieve their noble goals for the benefit of self and then, of course, society. Stephanie Kadiri, popularly called Steph Red, joins us now. Glad to have you join us, Stephanie.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good. Let's begin by the fact that you're a certified coach and a human resources expert with more than 16 years on the bounce. What will you consider to be the biggest workplace challenge?
So in my perspective, I would consider it to be a lack of congruence of values of individuals getting into the workplace and the organization that they're committing themselves to, an inability to find an alignment with what they stand for and what they're committing themselves to. They eventually get into the organization, wherever it is that they find themselves, and then there's possibly a clash of what the organization stands for and what the individual stands for, and what the individual wants, what the organization wants, and vice versa. So it's either one person is not standing by a value that has been stated, or another is not standing by a value that has been stated. And that's just a part. Besides values, which I consider to be pretty strong, there's also a lack of vision sometimes, and many times, on the part of the employee, because there's this desperation pretty much when you get out of school, because society expects so much and you just want to get a job because you want to earn a living, and the most important thing is get a job now. But then the long-term plan of after getting a job, what else? What kind of skill am I getting that I need to improve on so that I can use post-work, because of course you won't work forever. So when that time comes, you now find out that there are a lot of people groping because suddenly what they've done for so long, they have to leave it, and there's not the certainty of what next hits a lot of them. So those are the two things I would consider, to my perspective, to be the challenge. Yes.
Okay, and then looking to the challenge of COVID-19, the theme of what we're talking about is blooming regardless. And so a lot of people, the fallout of COVID-19 has led to a lot of people losing their jobs and businesses and some their livelihoods. So how would you recommend people bloom regardless of these challenges, pick themselves up and power on amidst these challenges?
So one thing that I have personally discovered about loss and failure is that it brings people that suffer it to their knees a lot of times, because what pretty much happens is we get to the point where we define ourselves by these things. Many people define themselves by the jobs they have, by the status they have achieved or acquired, by whatever money or whatever it is, or by a job, and even by a relationship. And then when you find out that these things are suddenly stripped away from you, there's a sudden feeling of I'm not enough. There's a loss of identity. So what I would pretty much advise is that everyone is a genius. I totally believe, and yes, it's true that there's a genius in every human being. In the words of Albert Einstein, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend the rest of its life believing that it is stupid. Everyone is a genius. How do you get to the point where, regardless of what you have lost, you can still dig deep and pull out the genius that you have, turn that genius to a skill and offer it in value, which will become eventually sustainable for you and sustainable for posterity? Yes. So in such times, it's very easy to want to say, oh, why me? Oh, why me? Yes, pretty much it's this thing of why me. And sometimes I would like, why not you? If not you, then who else? It could be anyone. But regardless of whatever it is that you experience, whether it's a loss or failure of a job, of a relationship, of a business, of your career, you have to be able to look inwards and ask yourself, what can I give? What do I have? What is the genius that I can still plant yet again that will bloom in spite of the challenges that surround me? Yes, sir.
Well said. But let me take you back to January 2020, about a year ago before the pandemic began. You organized an event, you tagged the UR3 to equip people so they can deal with loss and challenges. I wonder what inspired that event. Did you have a crystal ball to envisage the type of 2020 that was to come?
So interestingly, yes, I did have a personal experience of which, so it was something that I conceptualized in November 2019, and what was just going through my head was, if I could go through this, how many people, because I have heard of instances, so what birthed it was the fact that I suffered a job loss, a heart-wrenching job loss at what I could have considered to be almost at the peak of my career for very inexplicable reasons. And it brought me to my knees. It brought me to the end of myself. I hit ground zero with a terrible thought. I thought I was going to lose myself. As a matter of fact, I did lose myself for a few weeks, a few months, but then coming to the point. So one of the things that I keep saying helped me was the fact that I had taken a certification course as a life coach. And when that happened, that particular process of going through the coaching and learning how to be a coach helped me put myself in a position to ask myself what next. So instead of saying, oh, why me and all that, I lost everything pretty much. I could ask myself, what next? What do I have? How else can I apply myself? But then I was thinking aloud that, okay, when I eventually pulled through the rubble and was able to find myself blooming again progressively, I said, how many people can do this? What will people who probably do not have a coaching experience or probably have never come to the point where they can redefine themselves regardless of whatever it is that they go through, what will they do to themselves? Mental health challenges, and then depression comes in, and then suicide comes in. What can I do to ensure that whoever could possibly ever go through what I went through will know how to manage it and carefully navigate the process? And that was pretty much what birthed UR3, which held in January 2020. No idea that 2020 was going to turn out the way that it turned out.
So you've eventually turned your mess into a message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Steph Red. We still have a minute with you. You're going to probably rush this. You're teaming up with speakers like Olushola and some other ones I cannot name. What's your motivation? What do you intend to achieve? Just briefly.
Okay, so pretty much so these people are subject matter experts in the various places of professional expertise. They are subject matter experts. It's pretty much to come back to let people know that you can envision. So envisioning, regardless of where you are, what can you see and how well can that dream drive you in spite of the rubble that you find yourself? I like to say that, Muhammad Ali said, your hands cannot hit what your eyes don't see. And I say that your hands can't embrace what your mind has not envisioned. How do you envision anew, and based on the picture that you have seen, you can come into the present and run with it?
Thank you very much.
Such things are what we're going to be talking about.
Very pertinent. Indeed, and we wish you the best of luck in your next edition of UR3.
Thank you.